Hello everyone, I'm Autobot Sonic the Telltale Gamer, bringing you the latest and everything Telltale games, Transformers, and more. So first off, before I start this video, I would like to apologize for the lack of videos this week. So it actually turns out, like, the day after I recorded my Walking Dead the Final Season Episode 2, like, PAX teaser trailer reveal analysis, I actually got a really bad ear infection. It left me made me lose complete hearing in my right ear from it being clogged up. So I was unable to do any video work this entire week, and I just got over it, like, right now, where it's gone to a manageable point, so I can finally go back to making videos. So I apologize for the lack of videos this week. I'll be sure to get started on Batman: A Telltale Series Episode 5 this weekend, along with reviews for Transformers Cyberverse Episodes 2 and 3 when they come out later. But for now, we are going to be jumping into our review, finally, of Transformers Cyberverse Season 1, Episode 1, Fractured. Now, this marks the first brand new Transformers cartoon in 3 years since the last one, Transformers Ripples in the Skies, started in 2015. So, this exactly, I think this is a pretty good way to start the, series. We get a good brief little summary. It seems as though, I'm not gonna jinx it, but it seems as though this might be the first ever Transformers cartoon since Beast Wars where we don't have any main human characters, which, for first, I think is pretty cool that we're seeing. I mean, not that it's like, it's a bad thing if a Transformers cartoon does have humans, and I mean, Transformers Prime and animated, and to an extent, Robots in the Skies, they all good humans, but it's nice to see a Transformers cartoon not have humans in the modern day, like in like the 2010s. So but yeah, let's go ahead and everything this episode did right and what it did wrong. It starts with Bumblebee, who is just somehow gotten on Earth. He's just running around doing tricks and all that, and as we get a nice little look at the the animation style that Hasbro is using for Cyberverse. I really dig the CGI with the 2D effects. It just, honestly, this is probably one of the most visually impressive cartoons in Transformers history. Definitely one of the best art styles of Transformers history. Now, a lot of people say that they don't like it because of how childish it looks compared to other Transformers cartoons, but I actually really like it. I love how stylish it looks and everything. So after Bumblebee keeps doing all these stunts in this canyon area, he comes across this giant chasm, which he sees such a science born in danger. So Bumblebee, of course, being Bumblebee, decides to go ahead and try to make the jump. And he gets halfway through it and transforms halfway, so he's going to try to grab onto the edge, but not before he suddenly hears Windblade call out to him in his head. Because of this, he misses the, he barely manages to grab onto the ledge, but then quickly falls to, seemingly to his death. But it's also at this point that we get our first proper look at the Transformers Cyberverse intro / theme song, whatever you want to call it. It's not really a typical theme song in the sense of like Transformers Animated's intro or the original G1 theme song. It's kind of like Robots in the Skies' theme song. The fact that it's basically just like a quick tune with a bunch of cool like animation stills and all that, like a style. I really like how it looks in the sense that every character has their own little like art style dedicated to them. Like with Windblade, you see like all like her color, like it's her like in a bank against like a red, yellow, and black backdrop, and then like it shows like cuts to show like Optimus like versus Megatron. You have like the blue on Optimus' side and the gray and red on Megatron's side, and then it cuts to I love how it cuts to like shows the Allspark opening, and then we see all of Bumblebee's memories inside him, of course, like with Grimlock, Starscream, and a bunch of other characters. And we get like a quick little like team up section of Bumblebee, Optimus, and Windblade taking on other people. And then we see it ends with a bunch of Autobots come along, which we can see from in their vehicle mode. We'll just do a quick analysis of this. We can see Chromia, Optimus, Prowl, Hot Rod, and Bumblebee come out before Bumblebee smashes the screen with his Stinger, and then we just get a brief look at Transformers Cyberverse, and behind the logo is a dead Cybertron, which looks kind of similar to not IDW, the Alliance Continuity Cybertron from Transformers Prime and Robots in the Skies. But yeah, I think the intro is pretty cool. Once the intro's over, we cut back to Bumblebee falling down in the chasm, but not before he's rescued by Windblade, who just comes up flying under him, and so he grabs onto Windblade but misses again. But Windblade manages to catch him again at the last second and save him. And at this point we see this is when we learn that Bumblebee has lost his memories. Windblade, obviously Bumblebee's really impressed by Windblade's like skills in saving him. At this point though, Windblade doesn't realize that Bumblebee doesn't have Bumblebee doesn't have his memories. And we also get a nice little interesting spin here when Windblade reunites Bumblebee and she hears Bumblebee talking through his radio. She says, "Oh, like, I thought Ratchet fixed your voice box or something." So apparently that this is basically what I thought was true in my analysis of the Cyberverse teaser world premiere trailer, in which at that point we saw Bumblebee talking properly on Cybertron and in his own mind, but in all the clips we've seen he just talks through his radio. So it seemed as though at some point prior to the events of Bumblebee losing his memories, he got his voice box damaged. So, but the fact that Windblade says that she thought Ratchet fixed it, so maybe like he lost his voice, then Ratchet fixed it, but then when he lost his memories again, he lost his voice. So maybe when he finishes getting his memories back, he'll get it back. So anyway, we get this little thing between Windblade and Bumblebee in which she's confused as to why what he's doing on Earth, because she's supposed to be like hunting the Allspark and all that and find the Autobots. But then that's when Windblade realizes that Bumblebee has no idea who he is. And then at this point we get a nice little backstory on Windblade in this, in which Bumblebee asks Windblade who she is and where she came from. So she explains to Bumblebee that she was left on Cybertron while Bumblebee along with Optimus and the rest of the Autobots, as we saw in the back in the trailer, we saw him with I think Ratchet, Grimlock, and Chromia. They all got on the Ark because she says that they left to go get more Energon. And we see here, we actually get our first look at Perceptor, who is confirmed now to be in this. He doesn't have a speaking role in this, but we see that she says that several years have passed since Bumblebee and Bumblebee's team left Cybertron. So and that Megatron was like plotting to get more stuff. We get our first like in show look at Shadow Striker. It's very far away and very brief, but I am digging Shadow Striker's appearance. She kind of looks like, to me, kind of like a Decepticon purple version of Blur. I really am digging Shadow Striker's appearance. So anyway, Windblade explains how Megatron found new Energon sources, and so the war was going in the Decepticons' favor. So without going for years on without finding Optimus and Bumblebee's team, Perceptor manages to get a space bridge from Earthwork. Now, it's interesting how the space bridge works in Transformers Cyberverse. So unlike Robots in Disguise and Prime, where the space bridge was just a portal that they could open to anywhere in the world, it seems as though they have to build like portals in between where they want to go, and then like the portals form inside those portal frames. And then so we also get a proper look, like a more closer look at Perceptor's appearance in this, and it's very similar to his appearance in the IDW comics, specifically his appearance in Last Stand of the Wreckers and More Than Meets the Eye. It's that he's got his typical red and gray color scheme. He specifically though from the IDW comics, he has a visor, like monocle, like scope in his replace over his right optic, which I think it's cool. I'm really digging Perceptor's appearance in Cyberverse. So anyway, Perceptor gets the space bridge ready for Windblade, who took it to Earth, but the space bridge malfunctioned during her travel. So when she arrived at Earth, the space bridge that brought her there exploded. So she spent the past several months on Earth looking for Bumblebee until she picked him up. It's at this point where we finally catch up to where the first clip that was shown like about a week, two or so weeks ago, in which at this point Windblade still Bumblebee realizes that or Windblade realizes that Bumblebee lost all his memories. She like asks him remembers anything, for which Bumblebee replies that he knows how to do donuts. So when Windblade starts annoying Bumblebee with his antics, and she's still questioning him further as to what exactly he remembers about anything about Cybertron. It's at this point that Thundercracker comes up from behind Windblade and attacks her, and at this point Bumblebee has no idea who Thundercracker is, so he's confused as to why Windblade and him are fighting. And now I gotta say though, even though it's kind of simplistic, the fight between Windblade and Thundercracker, I gotta say, the way it's animated, I mentioned this back in my analysis of the original clip, it's so fluid. It's not super brutal like it was, the fights in Prime were, or even animated to some extent, but it's so fluid, the way Windblade and Thundercracker move with each other, and it's just exactly how I think it's essentially how also helps that the fact that the fight is the whole animation is at 25 to 30 frames per second instead of the usual 15 that it was back in Robots in Disguise. I just love how fluid everything look. So anyways, just like from the clip I explained in the clip, Thundercracker gets the upper hand in the fight against Windblade, and then just as he's about to go ahead and kill Windblade, Bumblebee steps in to stop him, but then before that, Thundercracker throws Bumblebee away from him towards a cliff, and then picks up Windblade's sword in an attempt to kill him with it. At that point, Bumblebee, in danger, activates his stinger weapon, which he uses to paralyze Thundercracker in place. There's actually one thing I gotta say though, that while I wasn't the biggest fan of Bumblebee's radio voice in this episode, I love how how he pieces this together in this specific clip, in which after Windblade tells Bumblebee that at least he remembers his stinger, Bumblebee says, "I got a stinger," and in a radio voice, but the way he puts it together, so he says, "I got a sting," from one clip, and then "her" from another clip. It's stuff like that. I think it's kind of cute actually, and it's kind of funny. That I do enjoy that, and it's honestly, I love this art style. So anyway, after after a brief moment, Thundercracker breaks out of his out of his paralysis from Bumblebee's stinger. At this point, we also see another ability of Windblade, which we saw both her IDW appearance and her Robots in the Skies appearance share, and that uses her turbine engines to create a strong gust of wind that blows Thundercracker over the edge of a cliff. And so Windblade kicks him off the edge, and he seemingly falls to his death. But as we know from the clip, from memory, we know he'll obviously be back, and of course he can fly. So once Windblade and Bumblebee defeat Thundercracker, they both transform and go away to get away from him. At that point, Windblade basically explains to Bumblebee who the Decepticons are, and it's at this point where Windblade tries to remind Bumblebee further about his mission, that because Optimus and the rest of Bumblebee's crew are missing, it's up to her and Bumblebee to try and find Optimus and the rest of the Autobots so they can go back to Cybertron and beat Megatron. So at this point, Windblade proposes a way to get Bumblebee's memories back, which I absolutely love. This she recommends that she uses a cortical psychic patch. For anyone who watched Transformers Prime, you may remember this was what Shockwave used through the Transformers series to try to exploit people's memories. We saw this being used in season 2 when he used it to try and get the Autobot base locations from RC and Cliffjumper, and then used it a lot in season 3 in regards to well, it wasn't just used by Shockwave, actually. It was kind of just used all by Decepticons, but Shockwave was kind of the one known for using it the most. And I absolutely love this scene in which, when it started off, Windblade pulls out, this really menacing-looking, dagger thing, or taser, which, creeps Bumblebee out. And at that point, she's like, "Oh, no, that's not it," before pulling out the real cortical cycle patch, which looks exactly like it did in Transformers Prime. And, of course, it works exactly the same way, in which she just plucks one in. She feels like that in order to, get it to work, she needs to use her own processor to help try and jumpstart Bumblebee's memories. So she puts one end of this patch on the back of Bumblebee's neck and the other on hers, but it proves to be too much of a strain for Windblade, and sort of also kind of gives some PTSD to Bumblebee, as she becomes overwhelmed by when she sees throughout all Bumblebee's memories, tons of them are fractured, but not before, and or they're either blacked out or fractured, as the episode name implies, but not before she sees a giant memory of Megatron underneath her, which overwhelms her with a lot of stress and forces her and Bumblebee out of the memory links. And so then the episode pretty much just ends there, with Bumblebee and Windblade knocked out after trying to attempt the cortical psychic patch link. But as it ends, we see Thundercracker and another Seeker heading towards them right before the episode ends. As we learn in the credits of this episode, the name of this Seeker is not, in fact, Skywarp, but instead a brand new Seeker called Nova Storm. So it's nice to see that we're getting all these brand new original Transformers characters in Cyberverse. First with Shadow Striker, and now with Nova Storm. I'm pretty sure that she'll just be another jobber Decepticon like Thundercracker and Acid Storm, but I'm interested to see what they do with her. So yeah, that was my review of Transformers Cyberverse Season 1, Episode 1, Fractured. If I had to rate this episode, I would probably give it a 9 out of 10. It sets up the premise of the show really well. I do it like, I love the fight between Windblade and Thundercracker. I did, however, what I wasn't like the biggest fan of Bumblebee's radio voice. It got annoying at sometimes. Definitely not as much as I thought it was going to be, but still, some of it was just kind of cringy, so that's going to -1 point. But other than that, though, this was a fantastic way to start the series, and it shows that I think this has the potential to do better than Robots in Disguise even, so we'll wait and see. So that was my review of Transformers Cyberverse Season 1, Episode 1, Fractured. I'll be back soon with Episode 2, Memory, and I know I said that I would possibly be doing that episode along with this one, but currently the HD version of Memory is not yet available, so until that comes, that will have to be put on hold. So, as I said, I'll be back soon with Episode 2, Memory. If you like this episode review, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys later.